Hey friends, we want to talk to you about wicking tubs. We've had several people talk to us about the wicking tubs that we use in the greenhouse, and one of the things that we um, are using on the family farmstead and the greenhouses and even outside are the wicking tubs. And this is our first year to do the wicking tubs, but we are 2 months into using them, and I can tell you for a fact these things work. I know people that's used them in the past. There's a fellow that I'm going to tell you about here in a second that has used them for 20 years. But I can tell you, based on our personal experience so far, I know these things work. And we can show you some things here. But we learned something today about them, and I want to tell you about that in a minute too. The concept of the wicking tub is any container, whether it's a decorative pot that you got at Walmart or Lowe's, or a stock tank, or a mineral tub. These mineral tubs, cattle ranchers use them. Buy mineral that's in here. The cattle eat and lick the mineral out of here till they're gone, and they often have these things stacked up in the barn. They don't know what to do with them, and so sometimes you can get them for free. Sometimes you pay up to $1 or $2 a piece, but they're a black rubber, plastic, ABS type, UV treated tub, and they last forever. So that's why we're using them, and they're a good size for what we're doing. But any container. So the whole point of what we've been doing and a lot of the things that we've been sharing is we want you all to be able to grow food and grow your own food. And that's even if you live in an apartment and you just have a deck or a veranda or a very small yard space. Anywhere you can set a pot or a tub, you can grow food. These tubs we've got Swiss chard, tomatoes, peppers, lettuces. If you look down through the greenhouse, there's all kinds of things growing in tubs, and you can grow anything in a tub. And so, or a decorative pot, or a container of your choice. I don't know if what my camera person wants to pan over and do, but there's even these tote containers. You can cut them in half with a saw, these IBC totes, and you can do the same thing we're going to talk about here. Okay, so this is not my idea. There's a guy named Leon Sloan. He's run a greenhouse operation in Kingston, Oklahoma for his whole life, and in the last couple of years he's gotten on YouTube and shared his knowledge, which is a wonderful thing. And he builds greenhouses. The kit we're setting in is one of his, and he's a very intelligent fellow with a lot of great ideas, but he's got a lot of experience. He's got 50 years of experience growing things. And the wicking tub came from Leon. I've seen other people attempt it, but I've never seen an idea quite like this. So here's the concept. The way these work is there's a tub or a container of your choice. In the bottom of the container, you place things to create a reservoir of water. Now later we can talk, but that water can be just water, or you can put fertilizer or nutrients that are dissolvable in your water. But there's a reservoir going to be held in the bottom of this container, and then we're going to put a membrane over the reservoir. Then we're going to fill it with potting soil. It cannot be clay soil. It can't be garden soil. You can't go out and dig up your yard and put in these. It's got to be potting soil, and it needs to be a good quality potting soil. So you got a container. What we have been using for reservoirs are these corrugated black pipes, and this is French drain pipe, available at Lowe's, 150 foot rolls. Comes in 6-inch diameter, 5 and 4-inch diameter. Depending on the pot you're using, you will maybe use different diameters of this. And the kind we were able to get a hold of was not perforated, so we perforated it with a drill bit and a drill, and we created these lengths because we knew the size pot we had. You could take this pot and you could fill this thing with empty milk jugs that you had the lids on, and drill holes in those milk jugs around the top. Okay, the whole idea is what we're doing is we're creating a reserve of fluid in the bottom of the pot, and the containers that we're using need to be a little bit bigger than our water level. This pot has been drilled with a drain hole, so anything we fill this pot up with is going to fill up to this point right here and then drain out. Okay, the idea is anything we put in this pot is going to be bigger or a little bit taller than the drain hole. So we're going to have a reserve of fluid in the bottom of our pot. We're going to have, it's going to drain out this hole, and whatever's in here taking up space is a little bit bigger. It's an inch bigger is what you want than the drain hole. So what it creates is you have 5 inches, in our case we have 5 inches of fluid, we've got an inch of airspace, and then our membrane, and then our soil. So if you look at it this way, we have a drain hole, and this pipe's in the bottom of our pot, and the top third of this pipe is air. It's an airspace. What this does is, when we put these pipes in these pots, and we do this, and put the membrane in, and the membrane isn't anything special, it's weed barrier. And the better that you can buy, if you go buy weed barrier at Walmart or Lowe's or these places, they have 5-year, 7-year, 9-year, 20-year, 25-year, 30-year. The better you can buy, it's the better. This is a 25-year that's in these pots. It's a kind of a woven fiberglass. It's tough, and we ran out, so we're using some other right now. But you're going to put the barrier over whatever's taking up space in the bottom of your pot, and then you're going to fill it with potting soil. Now, whatever we do in these pots, whatever you use, milk crates, gallon food cans, whatever you do, see how there's a space over here and a space over here that goes all the way to the bottom? Okay, that membrane that's going to go over these two pipes will go down into this space and then up the side. It'll come over here and go down in here and up the side. And when we pour our soil in here, we're going to push the soil and make sure it gets down in these spaces like this, down in here around the end. And we're going to have that fabric come up the sides, and then we're going to fill this with potting soil. This space over here and this space down here is where your wicking action happens. That soil is in the fluid. It's down in, submerged in the water, and this potting soil will wick the moisture from below up into the soil. Your plants are going to be planted up here. They're going to root down towards the moisture. So you have the soil in the moisture. It's just like a candle wick or an old kerosene lantern wick. That wick is in the fluid that lantern burns, and this soil is in the fluid that these plants are going to eat every day. So this fluid this is where your wicking action happens. So you've got 5 inches of fluid down here. You've got some airspace built in here to keep the roots healthy that are down here. And then you've got this soil wicking this moisture up into this pot. Okay, that's the whole concept. And the last piece of it is you have to have a way to fill this pot. So once you have that fabric in there, you got your potting soil in there, we have a pipe that we put in here, and it's tapered on the end so that it can't be blocked off when you push it in there. And we tie it to the side. We'll show you that. But we fill it here. So when you're filling, you will fill until it runs out the drain hole. Then you know you've got 5 inches of water down here. Now, as long as you've got plants this size, that'll go a week or 2 weeks. You start getting plants that size, we found out today, we came out here at noon today. This morning they looked beautiful. At noon they were wilting. You can see this tomato right here isn't back yet. We came back and our tomatoes were in trouble. And we looked and our pots were dry. They are using so much fluid, they used up everything down there. It wicked everything it could. There was no more water down here. So we can't go a week on the big tomato plants. We'll have to go about 5 days, 6 days. But we fill with this pipe. So you got a reserve in the bottom, you got a membrane, you got potting soil on top, and you got a way to get the water down in there into this bottom. And that's it. That's all there is to a wicking pot. You can put pop cans in the bottom of a decorative clay pot. You can put a milk jug in the bottom of a decorative pot. You can, anything that'll take up space, leave you some air space, and give you a way to fill it. You can make this out of anything, okay? But that's the basis or the premise of these wicking tubs. And so what we do is, our drain holes here, our pipes are oriented correctly. We want those pipes pointed towards the drain hole. We've pre-drilled this pot at the top, 2 little holes up here at the top, and we're gonna build a pot here for you, okay? We'll be right back. Okay, so what we have is a pot that we've put our pipes in the bottom of. The drain hole is pointing towards you, and the fill pipe is opposite the drain hole. And we've set all of ours up this way, where the fill pipe is opposite the drain hole. You know that airspace and that reservoir is working because you're filling over on this side and your drain hole's on the other side. So that tells you that everything is correct. We just drill a hole in the top of our pot, and we use a zip tie to hold it in there. And that holds our pipe steady till we get our material, our membrane in, and the soil in there. And I said before, the membrane is nothing special. We've been using this fiberglass weed barrier. We ran out. Locally, we cannot get this. Atwood's had it and they're out. But so we went to another box store's version. They say theirs is 25 years, but it's not. So, but that's what we're using till we can get some more. This stuff is 3 foot wide and 4 feet long. And you put it this way, you cross your pipes, you put the rectangle across your pipes. And the reason we do that, if you look down in there one more time, remember that reservoir's on the sides that soil's going to wick that moisture up into. So we're going to put the fabric across the pipes. See if I can do this. Usually there's 2 of us doing this at the same time, but it's hard to film and do that. So we're going to push this material down in that reservoir area on the sides. So you can see we've got the material pretty well situated, and I've got pockets built in down deep on both sides of those pipes. And then we're going to start in with a little bit of soil. So we'll do that and we'll be right back. So we got our soil, first 2/3 of our soil in here, and it really takes 2 of us to do it. So we stopped, but you can see it's in here. The material's over the edges. We cut all this excess off when we get done. And what we have here is Sustain. It's 424. It's all natural organic fertilizer. I'm told it's chicken feathers and chicken poop. I'm not sure what all's in that, but Sustain, S-U-S-T-A-N-E. It's a 424 slow release fertilizer. And from here on, it's whatever you want to do, okay? This is Leon's formula. And so he uses the Sustain, and he's got this stuff called C Mineral or C90. Now you say, Brian, you're putting salt in there. Yes, this is evaporated seawater, and Grandma put Epsom salt in her tomato plants, and Leon and others are putting these evaporated sea minerals in these pots when they charge them the first time. Put the fertilizer in, put the sea mineral in. These sea minerals aren't just salt. There's bromine and all kinds of organic compounds and things that wouldn't normally be in this soil. And we're using a good potting soil that's already amended with some fertilizer. So this is pretty hot, but we're going to scatter this in there all around. And we use a 1/2 cup of Sustain and a 1/4 cup of the sea mineral. Now Leon goes on and adds a little bit of lime. We're doing it later in our water, and so we're just doing the Sustain and the salt. Leon has his own formula, a couple more things he adds at here, some gypsum and some lime, but we haven't been doing that. So again, like I said, from here on, it's like cooking your recipe. You do what you think. But at this point, we'll go ahead and top up our potting soil and see if I can do that. And when you're making these pots, you use a lot of potting soil. So if you can get a deal on some potting soil somewhere, we did. We went to one of the box stores, said, hey, we want a whole pallet. And they were like, oh, well, we'll take off $1 a bag. And I think we used a discount also. So some of these later pots, we've been using the Miracle Grow, which is a little bit more money. But you do want a good potting soil in here. And really, at this point, that's all we do. Now we're going to plant what we're going to put in here. We'll fill this till it comes out the drain hole. We'll water in what we plant up here just so the soil bonds to what we've planted real well. And from that point on, once a week, once every 5 days, we're going to top up right here. We're going to put a little fertilizer in the water that we put in here. But that's it. That's a wicking tub. And I'm going to show you some things about the wicking tubs here in just a second. Okay, so these are our carrots in a couple of wicking tubs. And if you notice, the top of this soil is dry. And one of the mistakes we made was we kept thinking we needed the top water. I didn't trust the system. I didn't trust the wicking action of the soil, and so we top water. Now, if you're starting things from seed, you have to top water for the first 3 or 4 days. Keep that soil wet till it sprouts and begins to send a root down. But as soon as that root, and you can pull a little radish or whatever you need to, as soon as that root is down an inch or so, you can stop top watering, because that soil has wicked that moisture that far up to the surface. If you look at the surface of this soil, it's dry. But if we dig in here very far, there, I'm less than an inch down and I'm into moisture. If I come over here to a spot, right there is moisture. And that moisture is not from us. That moisture is from that reservoir coming backwards up through that soil. And so the idea behind this is it's low maintenance. You don't waste water. You can set these on your porch. You can put them anywhere you want, and they're going to wick for you. Okay, so these are some radishes that we overseeded. When I say overseeded, we put too much seed in. But these are radishes we've been growing in the wicking pots. And again, we've top watered when they were seed. And then once they've come up, they're relying on mostly on the moisture down below. Now, a few days it's been too hot in here. We've top watered just to cool them down. But I'm gonna, if you come over here, I don't know if you can see my hand or not. But there's our radishes, and they're not there yet, but we like them this size. They're great to slice up in a salad. We eat the tops too, from about here up. Slice those up in a salad, and so there you go. Wash it all up and you got a radish. But everything's, you can see a radish even in that wicking tub. Look how far down that radish is into that dirt, and this is just wet. It's just absolutely wet with moisture from that moisture coming from below. So that's how a wicking tub works. And we just want you all to know how to grow food. And this is a great way to grow food in a small confined space. It's a great way to grow food if you don't have a garden, you don't have a big outside yard, you just have a deck or a patio, or a window with some sun. You can do this, and you can grow quite a bit of food in each tub. And these tubs will grow radishes and lettuce and spinach in the spring. Through the summer, they'll grow squash and cucumbers and tomatoes and okra. Back in the fall, you can go back to Swiss chard and spinach and lettuce and things in the fall. So they're a year-round type deal. You know, it's just only if it freezes. So if you have a greenhouse where you can protect them from the deepest freezes, well, you can grow all through the winter, and especially the cabbages and lettuces and Swiss chards and the things that are somewhat winter resilient. So this is a great way to grow a whole lot of food, and you're not out tilling in the yard and the garden all the time. You're not weeding. You're not wasting water. The water you put in there goes right into here. That's it. So it's just a great way to grow, and we're really happy with it so far. And that was one of the things on our channel we wanted to talk to y'all about, was growing your own food. We want people to be able to be responsible for and grow some of their own food. And so hope you're learning something here with the wicking tubs. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit like, hit that notification button so you'll know when there's more videos out there, and we'll see you next time.